Welcome everyone to This Week in PlayStation Trophies, your weekly look at everything new on the PSN and all the new trophy lists that have been revealed for upcoming games. And this week's very similar to last week, where there was like one major huge release and then a bunch of other games as well. Technically two full price games, but one definitely had more hype going into it than the other. I hope you've been having a good week. I've been dealing with a cold again. Basically, I think I got rid of it, and then right away I got another one. So that's basically what I get for going out and socializing during the winter months. You're pretty much guaranteed you're probably going to get something before you end up returning safely home. Or maybe I get it within my own house. Who knows at this point. But anyway, let's go over to the PSN and look at everything new. You can see here's all the new stuff. Couple rows. Starting off though, we've got Vertical Drop Heroes. This is probably my favorite game of the week that I reviewed. Available for $6.99, a little bit on sale, of course, for Plus members and stuff like that. But basically, it's like a platformer mixed with an RPG. You're going from top to bottom in each of the areas that you're going to, and your hero is randomly generated. So, like, when you have your hero, you pick from one of 3 heroes. You can re-roll if you want. When they die, you pick the next hero. Your main hub, you get to upgrade your stats, such as your health and strength, and that stays permanent. So the next set of 3 heroes that get generated will have slightly higher stats the more you end up increasing stuff. This game is originally from like the early 2010s, and then was like HDified and brought out as a bigger release a few years later, and that's what this version is that has now made it over to Steam. It has a little bit of similarity to Rogue Legacy in the fact that you have like the randomly generated heroes and stuff, but still probably my favorite game this week. And unfortunately no platinum though, but it's one of those ones where I played and I would end up dying, and then like I just wanted one more go, one more try. I want to create one more hero to see if that was the one that ended up doing it. So if you're like me and you can kind of get into that sort of thing, you may end up having some fun with Vertical Drop Heroes, and it's available on Vita and the PS4. Next up is a game called Toy Odyssey. Now, this does have a platinum. It is a platformer style of action game, as I'm going to adjust my mic a little bit. Hopefully that didn't sound too bad. It looks kind of cool. I was interested. $14.99 normally, on sale for the first little bit, of course, that it's available until probably, I guess, next week. If you're interested in checking it out. I think the coolest thing, though, is it did end up having a platinum involved. Just really nice background. This is one of those ones that I just, unfortunately, just didn't have the money to pick up myself this week. We have Sniper Elite 4. This is the newest game, obviously, in the Sniper Elite series, which I've never actually played. But my friends, I have a couple of friends that really like the series, and I always have to do this every week we do this. But basically, if you're unfamiliar with it, you're playing as a sniper during World War II, and you're shooting, of course, the enemies, and it's very well known. I don't know if it'll be in any of these screenshots. Probably not, knowing my luck. Doesn't seem like it. But basically, it's really well known for its X-rays. Basically, when you snipe someone, I keep saying basically. Basically. In basic. Computer language, whatever. Anyway, you're going to snipe people, and then you get an X-ray shot of the bullet entering their body, whether it be their brain, their arm, their leg, or, of course, their balls, and you make them explode. And it's hilarious, and it makes me laugh every single time I end up seeing it. That's all back in this. It's very similar as far as the gameplay is concerned, but I heard the levels are much more open. They're much bigger, and this allows for actually you to have an easier time being able to take out your opponents. So I've heard some good things about it. It's one of those ones I need to check out that series for myself at some point. I have a couple of them on my shelves that just never got around to personally getting to them. Next up is Semi-Spheres. This is another puzzle-like game where you're controlling 2 semi-spheres. You can see that's the whole kind of color deal, and you have to guide them both on through. It looks like it's one of those interesting ones, the kind of game that I would probably enjoy. I played a couple of games in similar vein lately. But no platinum, unfortunately, in it. But this is one of those ones that maybe if it goes on sale a little bit down the road, I will personally be checking it out. No plat. But I love the... This is the one with the really... We'll see the trophy list again, I think, in a bit. It's the one where it's just like Roman numerals, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And then like the last trophy is just like a time. You have to beat the game is within that time limit. Next up is Ride 2. There was a couple of motorcycle-esque racing games, and this is a full-price release. I don't know much about it. I'm not usually into the motorcycle games. It doesn't look too awful graphically. For me, though, personally, like I said, I don't get into the motorcycle stuff, so I wouldn't be going after a $60 priced game of that note. But there you go, 170 motorcycles. If you're somebody who gets into these kind of games, if you played Ride 2 so far, let me know, like, how is it compared to Ride 1, or how is it compared to other motorcycle games out there, so I kind of have a little bit more information on it. Love to know. Next up is another one of the motorcycle games this week, and this is MX Nitro, but this one is more of a stunt racing type of one with the motorbikes. Not necessarily like Trials Fusion or something like that. A little bit more racing and all that than that. But there are plenty of stunts and other stuff to perform. Apparently a 40-hour campaign with boss races. That kind of intrigues me, though. Every time some game company puts like the amount of hours it's supposed to take, I always am like, I guarantee I can beat it faster than that. Like, I look at it as a challenge. It's like, you say there's 40 hours of campaign. Well, let me see how fast I can do it. Because I remember there's a couple games that did that. It was like, oh, it's 40 hours. And it was like, I'm done in like 20. And I'm like, okay. And I'm sure, like, yes, there may be more stuff to do, or rankings and all that kind of stuff. But, like, that's a bold statement to say exactly how long your game is going to take. Next up is Lobster Loves You from Radio Games. This is $10. No plat, unfortunately, in this one. I wanted to check it out. I sent an email to the company. I just never heard back from them because funds are really low as I'm trying to save up for the Nintendo Switch next month, which I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to get or not. But basically in this game, you're playing as a monster, or you're raising a monster, and you're making choices for this monster. It's like a choose-your-own adventure. Where you make all these different choices for the monster, and you decide whether to be good, evil, or neutral. You're trying to bridge, like, the relationship between humans and monsters together, or you can go the opposite and either sympathize with the humans and kind of become a member of the human village and human society, or you can join the monsters, get a rebellion going, and just, like, overthrow the humans and, like, burn their village to the ground and eat them. Like, you get a choice when you go into the forest, and it's like, you come across some kids. Do you help them? Do you avoid them? Or do you eat them? Like, that's the kind of stuff you're dealing with. So, I wouldn't mind giving that a try down the road. Another one that I will be keeping an eye on if it gets a little bit lower on a sale at some point. And the game that I did review this week is I.O. for $7.99. This is a game that started off as a game jam and was eventually like made into a full-blown release, and now is available on PS4. In the game, it's a little bit hard to get from this, but you're playing as this little sphere, and you can grow and shrink on command. And basically, you have to do that in order to get over gaps, and it's all physics-based. Like, for example, in this particular run, you have to get within the two-prong kind of things, the two platforms, and then grow enough so you get stuck. And then as it spins around, like, you know, a Ferris wheel, when you get to the other side, you shrink, and then you're able to go onto the other side. It's all stuff like that. You have to use, like, ramps, and then you have to, like, grow and shrink on the ramps at the right time in order to get the right amount of momentum to get over things. Very, very challenging. Lots and lots of levels. I think it's 225 stages in the game overall. One of my only issues with it is, I wasn't really into the gimmick itself, so that's, you know, but I'm sure plenty of others will. It never felt like there was any progression because you are given all the levels at once. You can do any level anytime you want. So you could boot up the game and go right to the very last, hardest level possible and beat that first if you want to do so. There's no unlockables or stuff like that. The only thing is you do get a bronze, silver, or gold medal for completing stages. So that's kind of like your only thing that you're going to be working towards. Next up is the big, major, huge release for this week, and that is, of course, For Honor. This game has a lot of hype going into it, single player and multiplayer, with 3 playable styles of character, with the samurai, the knight, and the Viking. Supposedly, you know, the story campaign is at least interesting enough, and of course the multiplayer is where a lot of people are going to be jumping into. If you've messed with For Honor, and I know somebody who's going to watch this has messed with For Honor, let me know what you've been thinking of it. Is the campaign by itself, single-player campaign, worth it? Like, because I'm a single-player guy, I'm not going to be playing much online. You know, I'll dabble in it now and then, but if I'm going to pick up For Honor, it's going to be mostly for single-player. Is the single-player campaign actually fun? Or is it pretty much, if you're not playing multiplayer, there's no sense in picking up the game? Next up, a game that's $7. Now, this is similar as far as the kind of game that it is to I.O., where it's basically level to level that you're going through with the objective of just getting to the goal. And in Flywrench, I became addicted to this game pretty quickly. It's very fast-paced, it's very, it's all action, and you control this little ship. Basically, it looks like a pong paddle. And you can either hit the X button to, like, bend up and become red, and then you can pass through red barriers, or be able to propel yourself forward. You can turn green, and you'll spin like nonstop. Like here you can go through the green barriers. The pink barriers you're unable to go through no matter what you do, so you have to avoid the pink barriers at all time. You have blue barriers later in the game where you have to hit a switch to turn them off, and then quickly before they turn back on, get through. If you hit any of the walls, touch the sides, it's a game of operation, you are instantly dead. The game, like I said, is very fast-paced where you die and you're instantly right back into the level, so there's no load times or anything like that, and that's the same with I.O. as well. I praise I.O. and Flywrench for both of those things, where you'll have no problem being able to just jump right back into the level. Very little, like, break between, which some people may not like. I prefer it, because I'm like, when I die in a level, like a game like this, I get really into it, and I'm like, I want another try, like, right away, so... There's that. Bridge Constructor, which I've talked about before, I did a review for the PS4 version, is now available on the PlayStation Vita, and it still has the Platinum trophy involved with it. It's a pretty easy Platinum. And in the game, you have to build a sturdy enough bridge that that cars and tankers can actually get over. And if it's not strong enough, of course, the bridge will collapse, and your vehicles that you're trying to go over will fall down, and then you fail. Your goal is to do that with every single one of the levels. There's some really fun and creative bridges you can make. If you can get into this kind of game, you'll have a lot of fun. It's like strategy and puzzle and building and all that stuff. I kind of got into it when I was playing it. I spent quite a few hours doing it. So... if you're interested at all, if you know any of that sounds interesting, you may want to check out Bridge Constructor. Next up is a free game, actually. Wow, I didn't even know it was free. Battle Island Commanders, and this is a strategy game that it looks very much like a mobile game, but I'm not positive if it is a mobile game. And now that it's free, it reminds me it could be even more like a more mobile game. I'm not always up on what's mobile games or not. But basically, you have two sides combating against one another, and you had to pick troops and stuff like that. It didn't look all that interesting to me, but I didn't know it was free, so maybe that's worth a download. I'm sure a lot of people have checked it out because of that. Next up is Skyride. Now, this is another racing, like another vehicle-based game. This isn't necessarily racing, but really crazy looking when you're riding this like hover bike type thing. And you have to fly all over, like, the place on this vehicle in order to get through things and get away from enemies and the like. Very interesting concept, and it looked kind of cool, but I haven't had a chance to check it out myself yet. Next up is the Jackbox Party Pack. This is all three of the current Jackbox party packs so far, aka 1, 2, and 3. So you get all three sets of games for $59.99. You know, I'm surprised they're not bundling that as a physical release or something like that at this point. Me and my friends like this. I like doing this with my live stream when from time to time. My favorites are if you have just 4 people being able to play. The You Don't Know Jack 2015 was great. Lie Swatter is a lot of fun. The best is Quiplash, which they actually released Quiplash by itself in between Party Pack 1 and Party Pack 2. But then they did Quiplash XL on Party Pack 2, which just added more questions. Quiplash is the best. I really didn't like Earwax. Bidiots is a lot of fun. That's basically you and your friends have to do artwork at an art museum, and then you have a client working with you who wants to bid on art, and you have to win the specific pieces they want. But you'll have similar pictures that you and your friends have to draw. Like, I have to draw, like, a cat, like just a normal house cat, but my friend has to draw, like, a lynx or a bobcat. And you have to somehow be able to differentiate my drawing of a cat to his drawing of a bobcat in order to be able to, bid on the right one. So there's a lot of factors that come into play. It's just a lot of fun. And then Party Pack 3 added Quiplash 2. Awesome, of course. Trivia Murder Party is really fun because basically it's like a Saw-esque thing going on with you and your friends are all like about to be killed by a murderer, but you have to solve trivia questions along the way, and if you get them wrong, you end up getting killed and stuff. Really, really fun stuff overall. If you're looking for multiplayer stuff and you haven't checked out the Jackbox Party, you need to do so. The only issue is, which is a really cool thing in one way, but also partially a negative, is you can't use controllers. The person who's playing the first spot can, but everybody else either has to use a computer, laptop, tablet, or cell phone. Now, it's free. Just go to the website on your device, and you're able to easily get into the game. But that's what you use as your controller. So this allows you not to have 4 controllers or potentially 8 controllers or whatever the maximum amount is per game. But I know that could lead to some possible complications, so keep that in mind. Next up is Starry Helix. This just came out today. It was supposed to come out yesterday from my research, but it didn't come out yesterday, so I was unable to get into it, and unfortunately with the weekend, I'm not sure if I will. Basically, it's you can see an anime-esque art style, and it's a side-scrolling shooter. It doesn't look like there's a lot of depth to it overall. It's originally a Korean game. You can see just by the thing. And I was trying to find more information. Like, very hard to find even a contact for the company that ended up publishing the game. But thankfully, it's relatively cheap. But no platinum involved in it. So there we go. That's everything on the PSN for this week. Dirt Rally Plus VR bundle is now out because I guess Dirt Rally was already out, and now they have the VR bundle for it. It comes with some more stuff, so I might as well cover that. I'm not really into the Dirt Rally kind of games. The only thing of interest in this picture is the Red Bull logo, because I love Red Bull. You couldn't tell. Actually, I'm drinking coffee right now. Anyway, let's get over to the PSN profiles. Not a whole ton of new lists, and not really that many super interesting ones, but I do have a few trailers for us to check out. So we left off down here at Wing Kings, which I ranted about again for this separate list of Wing Kings. First up is a list for Semispheres. I don't know if this is the North American one that we were looking at and it just came out, but you can see here's that wonderful trophy list. We've talked about this game before, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the time at the very bottom, which no one has gotten this versions of that yet. Next up is Sub-Level 0 Redux. This does have the Platinum Trophy. This is a game that's a first-person perspective. You're controlling a ship. I think it's kind of randomly generated, but basically, the world that you're shooting things and traveling through is falling apart. So basically, you're going through a reality that is collapsing as you go through it. It seems kind of cool. Obviously, there's a campaign, as you can see. Apparently, there's crafting for different module stuff, doing things with certain weapons, complete the first level with no damage. It's probably not too bad, though it's a bronze. I was like, maybe that's gold, nah. Complete the campaign after early alternate levels unlocked. So maybe you can beat it earlier, like, I don't know. Complete the second level with no damage. Okay, so... And a weird kind of setup for this trophy list, instead of, I guess they did by alphabetical order for the names of the trophies, instead of doing it by, like, bronzes, silvers, and then golds. Always interesting how sometimes companies put together lists and how it's laid out. Die 100 times. So apparently, death will happen a lot. Rage quit, die on the final level. Beating the third level without dying. So some interesting trophies involved. If you messed with it, let me know. Next up is the first game we're going to check out a trailer for, and this is called Jump Stars. And basically, Jump Stars is another one of those, like...
Who's the host? You're the... What do you mean the camera's already rolling?
Anyway, it's like a game show type thing. This is not to be confused with, not to be confused with, like, Jump Superstars, obviously, like with Dragon Ball Z and stuff. I'm going by Jump Stars, it's really hard to find information about the game. Because if you search Jump Stars on YouTube or on anything, you're just getting, that stuff, the J-Star Victory and stuff. I wish the trailer would actually show, like, more about the game itself. You're kind of getting a little bit of glimpses of the characters, like, doing stuff. But for the most part, not a great trailer, because it's not showing a whole lot of gameplay, which is concerned. There we go. Let's get to this. There we go. We just want to see some of the gameplay, man. So you can kind of see what's going on. Basically, it's like a platformer. You can do up to 4 players with a lot of chaos going on and around, have to avoid things. So actually, this is probably really fun with friends. So if it's not too pricey, that could be one worth checking out. So Jump Stars. And it does have that platinum, so let's go ahead and look at this. Enter into a custom game mode with 1 game. Enter a custom game mode with 9, so that's pretty easy ones. Punched 10,000 times overall. Jumped 10,000 times overall. Get a 1,000,000 team score overall. That'll probably take a bit. Eaten 1,000 pies. Broken 1,000 barrels. Complete the tournament, including 2 players. Complete the tournament, completing 3 players. Complete the tournament featuring 4 players. Now, the only reason this will be really bad is, of course, with having to have 4 controllers. That could potentially be a little bit of a pain in the butt. The rest of them just seem a little bit of a grind. So this is one to keep a little bit of an eye on as far as easy platinums go. There is a possibility of this one being an easy one, of course, as it is if all the trophies end up functioning and stuff like that, and if the pain in the butt with having to have 4 controllers or something like that. Next up is the trophy list for Monster Loves You. Like we talked about this game earlier, which I said looked pretty cool. Like I said, you're making your choices for your monster and decide whether or not they're going to be good or evil or whatever it may be, and you get different trophies for different endings and stuff like that. You dare to find a narrow gap between fear and hate. Now humans and monsters work together. Underground neurosurgeon. Strange ruin has ended in a human town where you pretend to be one of them, but you're a brilliant and a respectful doctor, but you can never remove your mask. So the different endings. You lived an average life for your monster. So basically, it's probably a relatively short game, it looks like. And it's all the different potential endings. A lot of it is. So it's probably a relatively short game overall. Next up is a trophy list for a game called Deformers, which you can see involves getting gold ranks, reaching different levels, play an online match, so obviously online is going to be involved. This game's coming out the end of March, for those who may be interested. Score 50 goals in form ball, break 100 stacks, consume 50,000 or 5,000 pieces of debris, kill an enemy while you're cloaked. This one could be, let's say, complete a match online in split screens or 2-player online. I don't know, this is one that I'll have to keep an eye on as far as, I don't know how hard the Reach Gold ranking is, but if that one's not too bad, this could be another one to keep a little bit of an eye on. There's two lists for that. Here's the list for MX Nitro. You can see no platinum. A few people have gotten a bunch of the trophies, but not all of them yet. Winning the first tournament, get to level 3, win a ranked race. Found his doom. Not sure what that is, but no one's gotten it yet. Fly 200 meters in crash flight. 50 challenges. Collect all stars in an online race. Collect all track quest marks. Perform all 4 button tricks in a game at least once. So, you know, I don't know how hard. It's all bronzes, though, which is a little bit disappointing for any... Even if it is an easy 100%, which doesn't look like it necessarily may be super easy, all bronzes, though, is kind of a so not really too excited about that one. The next up is a game called Vaccine. No platinum on this one either, but this intrigues the crap out of me, and I'm going to show you the trailer. It's coming out this upcoming Tuesday. It's one of the ones I will be reviewing next week. And the reason why is... in this game, it is basically a throwback to PS1 era horror, survival horror as far as look is concerned. PS1 era games. You'll see this immediately as soon as we look at the trailer. You'll see look at this. It looks like a PS1 game, and this is modern. So some people immediately are turned off by that. Of course, I love PS1 era games, so like that was my teenage years. You know, my early teens, and you know, into high school was PS1, so like I loved the era, and I loved horror games like Resident Evil and such during that time. So
your friend will relapse. The house will randomly rebuild itself, and the time to find a new vaccine will be reduced.
So basically, you have to run around, and you're trying to find whoever you play as, the other person. Because there's 2 playable characters. The other person is sick, and you have to find the vaccine for them. And you have, I assume, a limited time to do so. Yep, you can see by timer. And it's randomly generated each time around. There's weapons and all that kind of stuff going on. So, right up my alley as far as potential. I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet. But yeah, very much intrigued by this game. I'm sure there's going to be at least a few others out there that may be interested in checking out Vaccine. But we'll see. Hopefully it actually is really cool to play. Next up is the next game we're going to be checking out a trailer in, and that is Ikmo. Let me switch over. Boom. This is Ikmo, the Splinters of the Dark Shard. Does have a platinum, completing each of the chapters. Successfully rescue different characters. Slay a certain number of each type of the zomblings, which I guess are obviously the enemies in the game. Open every chest at least once. That's probably a little bit of a pain. Defeat different bosses, I guess, as my dog decides to bark for no reason. So defeating the different bosses, that's all there. So let's give a brief look here at the trailer. It's a 3D action platformer. Kind of looks like reminds me a little bit of a PlayStation 2 era game for the great. I dig the music in it. Looks kind of cool though. Like, it definitely looks like something I would be interested in checking out. I love 3D, action platformers of that era. Lots of enemies going on screen, so like maybe there's grinding for that 250 kills or whatever won't be overall too bad. Oh, I'm definitely intrigued by this one. I don't know, probably everyone else is like, wow, this looks like crap. But no, this definitely looks pretty... Oh, multiple playable... It's a BMO. It looked like BMO from freaking Adventure Time going on there. But yeah, that looks kind of cool, actually. I hadn't watched the trailer yet at all, so now I'm actually much more intrigued by it. So next up is the trophy list for IO. I'll give this a brief look. I talked about it, but basically, you can see that I've only gotten the one, because trying to get the medals sometimes on a lot of these levels is such a pain in the butt. But you have to get all 225 gold medals in order to get that gold trophy. And it's just, whew, man, I kept doing level over and over and over again. And basically, the good thing about the game is, if you get stuck, you can go right on to the next level, because there's all the levels are instantly unlocked from the beginning. So this allowed me to go ahead right to the final levels and try them out and see just how difficult they ended up really being. And yeah, they're pretty difficult. So you have to do everything in the game in order to get that. I have no idea what that... Why isn't my translator working? Normally my Google translate this page. There we go. I don't know why. Usually auto brings up. Maybe something changed in my settings. But this is Kamatachi Knight Samsara Psycho. I have no idea what this is involved. Pink bookmark, gold bookmark. Music collected. Is this another visual novel? Was correct in the second offender input. Was correct in the 3 eyes of the offender input. Cleared spy hen. My guess is cleared the labyrinth hen. Oh, the bad ending. Music collecting. It looks like it potentially is visual novel, but then some stuff like labyrinth and stuff included. I don't know. If you messed with it or you know what the heck that game is, be sure to let me know. Next up is Diabolic. Lovers Lost Eden. Another one that I don't... Boop. There we go. This is another one that clearly looks like it is a visual novel game. Just because of all the prologues, different things. And the CG was open for each of the things. Saw all the endings for each of the characters. And all that stuff. So there you go. There's another visual novel title. Okay, so next up is my weekly rant about arcade archives. And here we go. We got Mutant Knight. Obviously very easy 100% for those that get into that. But just really low-tier trophy list. Not a whole lot of effort put into this one, that is for sure. I've never even played the Mutant Knight arcade game. But like I said, my biggest problem with these always every week is, and every time there's a new one coming out, is not a great price point at $8 and not a spectacular trophy list. Like, either lower the price or give it a platinum or give it a better trophy list at least, even if it's not a platinum. Just a better list, something involved would be great. Next up is whatever this is, basically. There we go. Momo World War II. What? I assume this is another... Yeah, this is clear all maps and survival mode. So maybe no, definitely not a Momo World War II. I am now actually really much intrigued. There is CG involved, so that made me think it was immediately visual novel, but skip the repair part. Clear any routes and challenge after the game is over in SLG part to re-challenge the retry. I clearly know what that means. Japan route, Germany route, CG, like, let me know. I wonder what the survival mode is involved in here. If you know anything about this game, this is the 3rd entry in the series, so I'm sure there's a few people that watch this that know what this is. Inform me. Be sure to let me know all about it, because it does have the plot, of course, so... Next up is the trophy list for Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin. This is the VR Psychonauts game. I'm waiting for the actual sequel, the Psychonauts. This is all VR, so unfortunately I'm not going to be checking it out or anything like that. I don't want to know much about it because I'm like, I was disappointed that they were doing this at all. I was like, dang it, I just want a sequel, which is happening, but still. But it looks like a relatively easy trophy list of rescuing the different characters, escaping, so this is obviously beating it. Play a song and the melody on the keyboard in the cruise ship, create certain items, listen to all the radio stations on a bus. I'm sure that's very easy. Solve the sliding box puzzle on a train in 20 moves or less. That's probably the most difficult one, potentially. And I'm sure with, a little bit of work or a guide, that'll be extremely easy overall. Next up is another list for 3-on-3 freestyle basketball. So I assume this game is now out everywhere, because I think we've seen a trophy list now for this game in every single region that exists. The next game is Loot Rascals. This game does end up having a plat. It's really weird looking, though. Like, it's a really interesting art style. Beating each world, beating certain thing, escape within 600 turns, escape within 30 minutes, so speedrunning thing involved there. Kill 4 enemies with a bomb, kill 6 enemies with plasma, achieve 100% journal completion. Oh, the tutorial, always a fun trophy. Beat the tutorial. In fact, that's one of the only trophies anyone's gotten so far. But let's take a brief look here. Take a brief look here at the trailer. Supposedly, this is a pretty fun little indie game. There's a bunch of videos on this. Supposedly, it's like kind of card-based as you're going through and having to deal with stuff. So you collect cards and use them in order to, for your equipment and stuff. So it's random each time, I think, that you're going through. So it's kind of like one of those dungeon exploring games. I like the way the world kind of pops in as you're exploring it. So it seems like a potentially really, really cool game. It has my interest. That is for sure. I don't know. Cool art styles, interesting, a little bit different. So a game that I probably will end up checking out.
Okay, well, the new mission is let's escape.
It looks kind of cool. Next up is Styx, Shards of Darkness. This is actually the sequel to the other Styx game, obviously. It's gotten delayed and stuff like that, and I think now, obviously, it's finally getting ready to come out. Finishing each of the missions, crafting certain amount of items, pickpocketing stuff. This is a stealth-based game, if you're unfamiliar with it. I know the other one of the... I don't know if there's multiple. I know there's at least one other Styx game prior to this. Was free on Plus at one point, and I never got around to actually playing it myself. So I'm sure people that are fans of that will be interested in checking this one out. Dissolving 10 enemies with a vial of acid, collecting 50 raw materials, unlock all skills, though I do appreciate Oh My Gob as the thing instead of Oh My Glob. But interesting list. I'm sure some people are interested in this, and it's coming out March 14th is the release date for that one. We have 2 more lists here. Here we go. The next one up is... this is definitely a Toho game. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that this is a Toho game. Translate this. Yo, Sarcasm Dreamer. But all the characters look like they're that. So, complete each of the worlds. Custom-made guitar. I'm trying to decipher what half of these things are is going to be really hard to do. Boss of World 6 defeat without the bomb. Achieve certain amount of points. Main part of the world without generating a combo. Boss practice not degree of difficulty unquestioned. I just love the way some things end up translating as far as things are concerned. But yeah, this definitely looks like another one of the Toho games, so it's cool that that's another one that's coming to the PlayStation. And last but not least is Headbutt Factory. This is a VR title, so I didn't do much other research after I found out it was a VR title. I assume it's VR that you use your head, the butt stuff, and thus breaking stuff, because you gotta break 100 things, knock down 50 headbots, shoot down one of those fish-like birds, staved off the zombies without taking damage. It looks like a really easy 100%, other than this top one. You got sucked into a white hole. What just happened? You wake up to find tears streaming down your cheeks and a small ball at your side. What the heck that means, I do not know. My guess is beating the game is that trophy. But a lot of them seem to be easy because the one person that has it has done everything but that one gold trophy. So if you've, we'll see. Another VR title. Is the VR, like, those who have the VR, have you been playing a lot of the VR games that have been coming out? how have some of the trophy lists been? Are there like really easy ones? Any easy platinums with the VR titles? Because obviously not having the VR, I haven't had a chance to explore them. I wanted to do that VR ping pong or whatever, but obviously I wasn't going to be checking it out since I didn't have the VR yet. But anyway, guys, that is it for this week in PlayStation. Thank you very, very much for watching. I'm sorry if I was, not as whatever this week just because this cold has been kicking my butt. I'm sorry if I sniffled. I'm sick of this winter weather. That's what I was trying to say. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. And, of course, I hope you enjoyed.